Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Croatia. It is a new era for the Balkans, which is all under the control of Croatia. And yes, that includes the Greek islands too, that we've recently captured after our recent victory against the Ottomans. Which the Ottomans are now bankrupt and all that, even though it may still look like a country that may pack a punch because of its size, since they still have the Pontic Steppe and their Anatolian provinces. But I'm sure the Karamanese, who are eager for revenge, when their truce expires in 3 years' time, they want a piece of revenge and expand in Anatolia, which I am all for it. They are our allies, who are also allied with Akkunulu and the Mamluks. We are inseparable. Because Croatia is a country that has a unique relationship between East and West. The West being, Genoa and Tuscany. And that one big friend up north in the Commonwealth, which is, I believe, the strongest nation in the world in terms of size of the army. As we look at the statistics here, we have the third largest navy, most of which are just captured ships from past victories. We have the sixth in most provinces, as we are a united Balkan country, along with a few provinces and Greek islands and such. Have the seventh highest province value, because we hold Zarigrad, Constantinople if you will. We have the fourth highest income. But even though we are quite a bit behind on highest trade income and the size of the army, even though to us we have our allies to fight our battles for us, for the defense of this nation. Croatia has had a long history under the reigns of these monarchs. That's the only notable thing that they did. As I see in our wars, Croatian reconquest and conquest, and intervening in other conflicts which we barely take part of. And even some provinces have converted to Reformed, which in the early 1600s we will deal with the Reformed Church in Croatia. And that's the most recent one. It happened during the conversion and during the reign, the provinces of Epir, Moria, Atina, Thessalia, Cycladi, Rod, Achaia, Kostor, Chios, Euboea, Cephalonia, Arta, Lesbos, and Kornaf were gained, all by Croatia. But now, let us return here, and the reason why I said it's about to be a new era is because a turn of a century means a new institution is going to be started somewhere. And for Croatia, well, the monarchy has served us well, but I believe it's time for a republic. And I know there are some monarchists, pro-monarchists, that might be opposed to this idea, but we only said it because since we're a pretty large country and the vast majority of these governments are monarchies. Names of dynasties. Let me see if there's any way to, is there a way to check what form of governments they are, or you just have to look at it yourself? Yeah, you're just gonna have to look at it yourself, because I thought political map would show government. Oh, there it is. I missed that. Monarchies are everywhere, even though there's a few tribals. And these are some theocracies, mostly, bishoprics, prince bishoprics and all that. And who could forget the papal states? And it's good to know that we see the following government reforms. And there are some republics, such as Italian Signoria, and some are plutocratic. And what's left of Milan, Ambrosian Republic. Autonomous Swiss cantons over in Switzerland. Peasants' Republic. Free City. The republicanism in Europe is rather weak, but we want to change that. That's why Croatia, the Balkan nation, will be a republic. We will be Europe's largest democracy. So, of course, this is what it says. The monarchy has run its course for this country. It is time that we reform the government at its very top to institute a republic with electable rulers. This States General thing was basically a test run just to see if a monarchy would be practical in Croatia. And, statists to monarchists, and we've learned quite valuable lessons. And we've appreciated this. And because of this, difference between kingdom and monarchy. Once again, diplomats, monthly autonomy, change governing capacity, national focus, cool down. In a republic, you've got, largely the same, including number of diplomats. Plus, republican cultural sufferance for non-accepted cultures like the Turkish, which there will be less local unrest, local tax modifier up a bit, as well as the manpower and the sailors up. And this is going to give the burghers a little more influence, even though they are the most influential in Croatia, about as much as the nobility, which we can't deny the nobility because they really played a role in the expansion of our military and the borders of this nation to include all of the Balkans. And before I reformed this republic, there's another driving reason for that. We completed all the missions that relates to Croatian-related missions, such as independence, Dalmatia, Bosnia, having a fleet of, of having this much, dominate Dubrovnik, and making a center of trade. And we have Balkan liberators, which is what we are, conquered Carnolia too, which we included the Slovene people and the Venetian minority. And we withstand the Turks, and they are out of the Balkans for good. They're never going to come back here again. And what little missions left is probably just going to be very little focus for me. Like having this, that's too far away to think about. And to dominate trade for Ragusa, I am not sure about this. Because the trade power here, 37%, but if we want to get up to 75, you gotta knock out every single nation that lives nearby here out of the competition. Or alternatively, move a new capital to, somewhere else. If you want to have a higher trade power, like say here. Even though the Ottomans still have the highest trade power here, but that can change. That can change. Took a drink. Now, we are currently improving the fortifications. In 1601, Zagreb and Zarigrad will be the most heavily fortified provinces there is. We're still retaining the old castles in certain key areas. And if I had a lot of money to build another bastion, I would build it here, in case when all else fails and we retreat to the mountains of Bosnia, part of our defensive military doctrine of ours. So practically, nearly halfway that this series is finished. Halfway. But we completed all the major goals of this series, so what's the next major goal that is going to be set for the rest of the Croatian series? Well, survive. There's going to be a new age, a new Croatia, a new Balkans. So we will become a republic. And it's going to give me a few more benefits. But of course, whoever is an elected ruler that'll run this new republic, which is effectively Europe's largest democracy, that we will prosper, hopefully. And maybe as long as we don't do anything harsh or where to expand, maybe I can focus on developing a couple of more provinces like Serbia, Bulgaria, and Greece. I'd like to develop more of those. especially upgrading the centers of trade, which is something that I would be willing to spend my money on. And they say it's going to increase the local tax modifier a bit, as we know that only the Turkish and the Venetian are non-accepted cultures, I should say. I'm sure it's going to cause a slight uptick in the income as we proclaim it a new Balkan Republic. Very slight. Croatian Assembly abolished. Years of internal strife within the Croatian Assembly has begun to take their toll on the national spirit of Croatia. The rising popular opinion against the Assembly has drawn on many vocal opponents among our citizens. At long last, one contender stands tall amidst his opponents, overthrowing what little opposition remains in the Assembly, restating the glorious traditions of Croatia. Long live the kingdom, or long live the monarchy. Sviatoslav, so that's 2 administrative power, 2 diplomatic, but 5 military. Could have been better. The new Jews. I was about to say, I'd never seen that word before. As much as I know 70% of the Croatian language, that includes Bosnian and Serbian, or sometimes I rarely use it in personal matters, I call it Serbo-Croatian as a catch-all term. Let me spell that word. But anyways, so what that means for these gains, it ain't gonna be as much as it used to, except for diplomatic, so it's kind of even added here. So yeah, that's who he is, and he's 18 years old. And the next election is when ruler dies. Odd. Well, then again, when you start a republic, I guess we are going to start off with one more ruler that'll be elected for life. In other words, a dictatorship. Hopefully, he be a benevolent dictator. Josip Broz Tito comes to mind. But, who knows? The only difference is that this is kind of like Greater Yugoslavia, but without the socialist part. It's more of a... Well, we'll see what the Republic will turn into. Let me spell that word again. Just to know what is that meaning of that word exactly. If you're going to be using the term president, it would be presidnik. Yeah, I'm throwing that word to the Google machine right now. I have it on a tablet on my hand right now. So we can enact a few more reforms. So we have to start from scratch. Enact the first tier reform for free. We can't go for plutocracy because we are not a plutocracy, obviously. We could either be an oligarchy, which would give us a little more tax modifier and allows the plutocratic idea group, and the term duration would be 4. And or noble elite, which would give us army tradition up and a little bit more than nobility influence, as the burghers have been pretty influential as well. But honestly, the nobility played a role in Croatia's development in this grand republic. But anyways, as it says, so I will go for noble elite. So in this republic, the right to rule is hereditary within certain noble families. These families elect the ruler from within their own group, and this head of government will also have to rely on their support. This would disable plutocratic idea group, which we weren't interested in being a plutocracy. Even though as much as I would like to make more money through trade. But we only hold like 2 areas that have these 2 trade nodes. Dubrovnik, Burgaza, and Zarigrad, Constantinople. But an aristocratic just means a little more tradition for us. Which is just a characteristic of ours. So I will go for this. But keep in mind, it's going to get the term duration up to 8. Which is a little long to some people's tastes. Yeah, we'll go for that. And keep in mind that maximum absolutism, that lowers, even though the age of absolutism is coming up. Which we'll worry about that later. Well, that's one. We still got, oh, 4 reforms available then. Okay, we'll choose more. Authoritarianism. Authoritarianism. Oh, no need for that. I mean, the unrest, we could deal with that. Political dynasties, which is re-elect from ruling family. It's just random candidate bonus. And this is republicanism. Yearly Republican tradition, which we're only gaining about bit by bit in a year, but since this new ruler that we've appointed here is going to be ruling for life, well, it matters little right now at the moment, but it will once he passes away, naturally. So I will go for republicanism. As I said, for the rest of this series, I like to roleplay the fact that here is Europe's largest democracy, and we want to keep it that way. This republic has made itself a guardian of Republican ideals, citizen power, and everyone working together for the common good. Just to have a little bit more Republican tradition, just to get it up faster. Every little bit helps. And that's all due to base value and power projection. Aha. Because, you know, we beat the heck out of the Ottomans and we've conquered provinces from them. And we are ranked number 5 with the great power and objectives fulfilled. And all that. Now, number 3. Frequency of elections. Frequent elections, which would knock the length of election term down a little. Which, again, 8 years. But, as of now, he's only going to be ruling for life. At least it's what it says anyhow. And you need development up to 1,000 if you want to become an empire. Or whatever is the republic equivalent of empire. Because duchy means republic, kingdom is grand republic. What is republic in empire form? Because I never seen it before, honestly. And plus, my experiences from playing as a republic was that time I played as Lubeck in a non-recorded playthrough. Even though the only difference is that it was a plutocratic republic. Now, this other one, consolidation of power, which increases the election term, so that would be 9 years. And sortitation is election by lottery. And elections only occur when ruler dies, so that's for life then. But do you think 8 years, due to the noble elite, for 8-year terms is good enough? And should we cut it down to 7? Which of course it would reduce the maximum of absolutism once again. Or should we make it 9 years long, which feels like overkill, in the sense of, okay, this ruler's about to be re-elected, should you choose, and then, well, come to the realization, you know, the monarch power and all that. Honestly, I'm going to go for frequent elections. Long terms make rulers reckless, and the very idea that someone would rule for a long time is contrary to the very idea of a republic. Let us reform our election system to ensure better accountability from our elected officials, because, you know, when you have frequent elections, and should you re-elect your ruler over and over again, not only you're going to take a hit of Republican tradition, but subsequently, if you re-elect that same ruler, you're going to increase the monarch skills of the elected ruler. Like, what we mean is that the administrative skill, like our guy here has 2. If you re-elect him, it goes up to 3. Elect him, it goes up and so on and so forth. All the way to 6, which is the maximum. If he even lives that long. So, we'll reduce the election term. 8 is a little too long. Which one would think I would have gone for that, which would allow plutocratic idea if I was a plutocracy, which I could really, But I only chose that because of aristocratic yearly army tradition. Good idea. Speaking of which, that kind of army tradition that need to slow down on its decay. Doing anything is possible. One more reform. You got room for one more. Very well. So for regionalism, provincial governments, for reduced state maintenance, which means a little more income, or a little more governing capacity for administrative divisions, which is pretty close. I mean, if we try to expand, well, we can't govern everything. It cannot keep up with the growth. Though there are ways to reduce it. Or Union of States, which would have more global trade power, another source of income. But again, I'm not going to expand anytime soon. Early on, as I do not have any legitimate claims other than uncontested claims due to border disputes with certain countries. But alternatively, you could just expand administration a little bit and increasing that governing capacity by a small margin. But of course, there are certain buildings. I mean, let me find an empty building stuff, for example. Yeah, that province governing cost that reduces. Yeah, that's what courthouses are for. State maintenance or trade? Speaking of state maintenance, look at your states. Like Bosnia, for example. Or Thrace, I should say. Following deductions for state maintenance. It's very little, honestly. I mean, after all, it's a low-developed country. Except for, you know, Zagreb, which is quite a bit much for the most highly developed areas. But here in the capital state of Croatia proper, not very much. Honestly, I think it matters very little. So we'll go with Union of States. Rather than one unified state, our country has grown from a large number of states integrated to one confederacy. As our administration grows and evolves, we must not infringe on the rights of the member states. Doing so would trample on the very principles of our existence. So, would that affect the income on how much we get from global trade power? Doesn't look like it, but certainly on this as time goes on, but look up here. Due to power projection, prestige, stability, trusted merchants, which is event related, but having this reform, that helps. Every little bit helps with a global trade power. I think what you meant is this trade power. That's what you mean. But we'll get there soon enough, and that's all we could do for this kind of reform. So we will gain 0.80 every month. Local autonomy and all that, and calculating and all that. Yeah, we got a lot more tiers as the age goes on. And then having to decide whether we go for parliamentarism or have a presidential system. Even though I'm more leaning towards parliamentarism. Even though it would disable the nobility estate. But wouldn't disable, I mean, we have a noble elite, but yet give away to parliamentarism, and we won't be able to call down anymore, and we only have the clergy and the burghers to give us tax and trade and whatnot. No idea what it's gonna be like, but I can tell you this. Yes, the national tax modifier income did increase. And look at us now. We are in fact the world's largest democracy, rather than Europe's largest democracy. Although that term, world's largest democracy, is applied to modern-day India today. Okay, it's been 25 minutes. Let's get it over with on this new era. We'll check the trade power in a moment while everybody drills. Oh dear. The man who's going to be elected for life is a sinner. What are the odds? So tolerance to the true faith is quite reduced. Yeah, that hurts. Yeah, that hurts. But after all, you are defender of the faith, so you gotta do what you gotta do. This is who we're gonna be dealing with. A man who is a sinner. Personal shortcomings in the leadership of our country turned the religious establishment against us. Well, what does this mean for the clergy? Nothing. They don't matter. But I did say I would like to increase the development in all the areas like Serbia, Bulgaria, and Greece. And also I would love to increase the center of trade. Like these right now. As we do make quite a bit good income. We should take advantage of this prior to building these two bastions, which we would of course have to pay up for it. My goodness, the lack of manpower in these areas. I cannot wait to build more barracks just to increase our manpower size. Although I did notice that since, you know, monarchists are no longer in power, our maximum manpower has reduced. Which, of course, it does concern me a little bit, but still. Wasn't there supposed to be an institution? Oh yes, global trade. Well, that's not till 1600. It is 1600. But it hasn't been discovered yet. Oh, it hasn't. I thought it's supposed to do it every beginning of the century. It's tied. Knowing more of the world. Portugal, they tell us of the eruption of February 1600. The Peruvian volcano known as the Huayna Putina erupted in a massive explosion. The effects of the eruption were felt all across the world, where famine killed millions, then trade of grain and wine collapsed. Oh dear, for about 2 years. You know, we do have provinces that produces grain and wine. So yeah, that took a bit of a hit on the Croatian economy. Who you allied with? The Knights, Bologna, 2 Sicilies, of course 2 Sicilies. Not about sending a spy network. Just to fabricate a claim or two, like Venetia. Because if I were to expand somewhere, it'll likely be towards the direction of Italy. For development reasons. Especially there. Home of the Venice trade node. If we can control all of this, ooh, think of the riches that it would come. But of course, you know, there's the Ottomans. Belgrade, now seat of a new cardinal. So we got 3 cardinals. Very good. And Meanwhile, as of the Ottomans, we should have a little more spite detection. I'll probably fabricate a few claims there too, if I want to beat them up just one more time. Or try to get her up to Crimea and take over the home of that trade node there. Yeah, you're becoming trade intensive these days. Always trying to find ways to make money, do you? But it's got to start somewhere. Development costs reduced. Oh, yes, thank you. Should look up the autonomy, local autonomy. Because you're going to need some of that reduced. And if they don't like it, we'll deal with them. So everybody's settled down, I think. Except for the Bulgarian areas. Also, what is this? Move my main trade ports prompts. Moving my main trade city could be advantageous if the new node is richer and have the ability to generate more power there. Well, son of a beeswax, why didn't I think of that? Because here in Zagreb, that's my main trade city. Although, my ability to compete would be greatly reduced. If I can collect trade to look again. Constantinople has the most. Ragusa isn't much, and neither is Venice, where I sent the other two merchants to Constantinople and Venice trade nodes. But keep in mind, the one with the highest trade value right now is the English Channel. Gold rush! Our miners hit a massive deposit of gold. Massive amounts of money flowing through the treasury. Well, now I know what I'm going to spend my money on. Remember those centers of trade we talked about? Upgrade them. Upgrade them. If the development allows. Of course. And of course, you know, not only it's reduced development costs, but also adds more to the trade power and institution spread, should any of them come here. Or alternatively, just upgrade this one that you have, as we have the highest trade power now. But making Tsarograd a world port would be grand. What is the difference between what this has now, and while upgrading this to a world port, as well as the addition of a diamond district and a Bosphorus sound toll? You did say you want to be trade intensive, and we struck gold. There is room for one more building if we wish to develop it a little further, but can't do that. Trade power up even more. Institutions spread faster. Owned provinces in the area. Development costs reduced. Sailors up. Another buildings. There you go. Well, there you have it. Constantinople is now a world port, which is something that the Ottomans had never really tried to upgrade them, because they were busy while we beat the heck out of them. And honestly, I would love to do the same thing for Belgrade. Make that into a market town. This is just to help up with the trade now. And if I ever struck gold again and get another 1,000 and develop it a little bit further, then I'd be very much willing to make this a world port also. Lucky us. This is indeed a new era. Look at that. We just got it up even more. I mean, sure, it's still being reduced for other reasons. But, however, it's that inflation that jumped up. We gotta deal with that right now. Because as much as I'd like to save it up to get the national bank, but this inflation's gotta be dealt with right now. Where is it? Here it is. Yearly inflation reduction. That's what we called. I mean, we do have 3 cardinals, so we gain plenty of papal influence. I mean, we're no longer rivals, us and the Papal States. That's the thing in the past. It was a misunderstanding. Including to those times that I raised Rome. Yeah, total misunderstanding. So we've upgraded just Athens, or Athena, and Zarigrad. Which one would think, should we move that new trading port there? Or just, well, who knows. And plus, this is a market town, and it's not even a World Trade Center yet. More and more of the world is being explored. When is the next June? And this thing is about to go down, so let's see. I should get it slightly later, but you know what, let's develop Serbia a little. I'm looking around. Encourage development in this area. And I guess there too. Government progress, that's what that's for. I mean, if you were to make it a World Trade Center, you gotta have 25 development. But we got all this military power. And we're trying to save up the administration to get these two before moving on to the next tech. So develop Belgrade a bit. Yeah, one more. Get it up to 15. Okay, that's a little much over there, apparently. Why isn't the manpower being utilized there? That's what it needs. Just keep using all that military power throughout. You know what? Get them all to 10. Oh, is that it? Cannot improve because it's greater. Oh, okay, okay. I understand. Well, in that case... yeah, 10 for all. And of course, Kosovo. Home of the gold mine, but keep in mind, it says this. Chances of mine depleting each year, but that's only base production. Increasing that to 4. Okay. 4.12. And how about Athens down there? And by the way, that Parthenon. So, as we, I mean, the Greek is an accepted culture by the owner, Croatia. If we want to upgrade this, well, you're gonna need some money for that. Well, there's no construction. Too big to move. Yeah, I guess you're gonna need money for that. Okay, one more. That's it. In far in the future, if we ever get up to 1,000 gold, this will be a world port too, to help with the Ragusa trade node. Very happy about this. And we'll be sure to build a barracks throughout to get that maximum manpower back up. I mean, it jumped up quite a bit right now, but building in addition to barracks all throughout Serbia, that will definitely get our manpower up, which will be well capable of defending the country. Hang on. Goods have been moved across continents since antiquity. Well, where this was previously limited to a set number of routes and goods, such as manufactured goods of India and China, finding their way across the Indian Ocean along the Silk Road, all trade is now increasingly becoming part of the greater world network. With the discovery of Americas, sea routes around Africa and across the Pacific Ocean, local trade networks are being connected into one world's spanning interconnected web. The silver mined in the Andes are now being boxed and taken via Europe all the way to China and India. Iron mined and wrought in Scandinavia is being sold in West Africa by English merchants. Others are making a fortune just distributing cloth and spices within the Southeast Asian trade sphere. Local Indian merchants are investing in future European trade ventures. But it may still be early to speak of a truly global economy. But surely the first seeds have been sown. This changes everything. London. Of course, London. It is where gold trade is found. Not only it's pretty well developed, although it's currently at war. That's because the English here, they do have a few colonies of their own, in their own right. And I recall Northumberland is also the home of this, so. And when we embrace global trade, we get a merchant. And I don't know where I would send it to. Probably either to... actually, we have no... But some in Crimea. I'll probably send it to Crimea. If I were to get a merchant of my own. When that time comes. My goodness. World ports, world trade centers over there. You guys make a fortune over there. Whereas I'm barely trying to catch up. In which I've stated before, I have no desire to expand greatly right now. I mean, don't worry, the country's ready for war of any kind, as well as intervening other people's conflicts. It's just, not particularly interested in doing a big-time expansion unless we want to punish the Ottomans one more time. It's madness to think about this, but we're doing that simply for the sake of it, in case if I need somebody to conquer. And how to defeat their navies from the other countries. Taking Venetia, which of course may cause a coalition. I get it, but the real question is, who's gonna have the gumption to take us on? Theodoro. Imagine establishing a Croatian Crimea. Which we're only doing that just to get more out of this trade. Oh, actually there is a natural harbor there. That's one thing. And Azov, also still held by the Ottomans. Yeah, you are clearly thinking about overseas expeditions, do you? And their slightly more developed capital, which has a very good base production. Seeing all these lands of what's left of the declining empire makes it rather tempting. Holy Christmas. So glad the government. I was about to say, what insignia is that? Let me see. There you go. Oh, yeah, that's Crete. Excuse me. Crete has claims on these areas. One of which, interestingly, is not only where another natural harbor is, but dominant trade hub is located there. Makes me want to take the western Anatolian coast and give none to the Karamanese, which they do have claims, not permanent. Clearly, you are thinking about the future of Croatia as being a rich, prosperous republic. Clearly. You barely got into the printing press, Akkunyulu. Knowledge sharing. Oh, speaking of which, you got any money to spare? Because I like to need it to upgrade Dubrovnik to a world port. I almost said World Trade Center, but that would be for Zagreb. I don't know, what would be better? Zagreb or Dubrovnik to upgrade it? It'll give you another building. Oh my goodness. Russia! No longer Muscovy, it's Russia. Russian crusade against the Ottomans. Well, there goes my Crimean idea. And we know that they do not like the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth is our ally. I wouldn't like it to fight against the Russians. Now you get an idea of whose color that is, of who's the owners. More and more. I mean, we beat the heck out of the Ottomans so much that no doubt the Russians will defeat them. And this would be a perfect time for the Karamanese next year to strike at the Ottomans while they have their backs turned. And if the Ottomans ever ask me to have for access, I'll give it to them. So that we can send them to their deaths, one would think. Hey! So, clergy wants to invest in Zagreb. No need for that, it's well developed enough. Nobility wants a province to get a claim on this area. And the burghers want a manufactory in Dubrovnik. Which would give them gain one base production. I have the money for it to get it started, but Yeah, seems like a good idea. I'll think about it, but I'm not gonna start building one immediately. Because these two buildings are about to be finished and we're gonna be paying the maintenance for that. While we reduce that inflation. Balmani's having a peasants' war. Yeah, don't forget, for those interested in the Mughal series, it's been going quite well for the most part, except for the that episode where, man, but just make sure not to do that mistake again of, you know, going gung-ho and all about that. People sending money to the Ottomans. What is this, the Ottoman Relief Fund? Knowing that they're about to be crushed by the Russians? Okay, building's about to be finished. Watch the balance go down due to maintenance. Just a bit. Just a tad bit. 20 a month, my goodness. That's for those down there. I mean, we told them to lower the autonomy, and we're gonna definitely put them down once it gets up to 90. As much as I would love to develop the rest of Greece, stop drilling. One of you, just two of you, stop drilling. This one will keep drilling, even though it's fully drilled, but we're only doing that just to keep the armed professionalism increasing towards there. Damn pirates. The Ottomans annexed Kazima. Okay, what did the Russians want? The war goes no one. Won enough battles. I'm sure they'll be taking territory. If they take all the Crimea, including Theodoro, I'm screwed. I would hate it to be neighbors with the Russians. To Athens. Let's crush them together. Don't spend it right now. Whoa, really? Where did all this income come from? But I think a small part of that is due to reduction of foreign maintenance with that inflation. And a few other things. Trade power comes to mind. Come on, hurry up. Back to your posts. I know for a fact that they'll be coming back up again. In fact, remain in Athena. You'll be going up to here. Just to remain close. But keep the morale up. You're drilled enough. Hey, that's spy network. Quick. Get another claim out of him. No, we can't take that. So how about, Sugla, which would be an interesting place to have a claim on. Where's Kura? Where's that at? Oh, that's another part of Crimea. So Theodora and this area. So yeah, definitely the Crimean route. A Croatian Crimea. Can you imagine that? Unless the Russians take it. I mean, knowing what they are, I mean, imagine the Russians declaring war against us, meaning they'll have to deal with the Ottomans, Akunulu, Karamans, and so on and so forth. Diplomatic insult. A careless turn of praise by Josiadoslavs greatly offended the Venetian Serene Doge. Mollifying him will not be easy without losing face. We won't forget this. I would like to go beat you up right now for that, but no. I'm far more honorable than that. Even though avenging an insult is what it's called, the War of Honor. There. You've already embraced global trade. And so does Venice. That didn't take long. Oh, actually, that's for all of Europe to embrace global trade. But it'll be a lot faster for those who have centers of trade. Especially there. That's going to come first in line. Can't wait to get me another merchant. Over in Venice, they tell us the growth of the perfume industry. A growing merchant class as well as increasingly demanding social code among the nobility and upper classes led to an increased demand for perfume. The halls of grand palaces are now expected to have a likable scent as well as majestic decor. This has led to a surge in demand for products such as frankincense and other scented products for making the perfume in Verona. The refinements of local flowers and foreign scented goods have even grown to a major industry in itself. Incense will now be produced in Verona. It's a perfume capital there. Lose pharmacy there and it turns to a trade station. The price of incense has gone up. Which reminds me, the grain. Colombian exchange. Yeah, wasn't there an event that kind of hurt the prices a bit? Maybe that's why they jumped up. Because it expired. Who owns Greenland, by the way? I told you they were going to do that. With the Russians lashing out on the Ottomans, the Karamanese is now going to take some territory from them. Particularly areas of claim to. If they get Sugla, I'd be concerned. At least in my own interests in establishing our foothold in Anatolia. But it seems that I've taken interest in Crimea. Which those claims ain't gonna go away anytime soon. Spain owns Bermuda. This is what I've been waiting on. Now all I need is one more idea for National Bank and we don't have to worry about inflation anymore. And reducing inflation also gives us a little more income with the fort maintenance. Ceremony disrupted. One of the core parts of the Republic are the great ceremonies of state. This is a time where disagreements and disputes between the patricians are put on hold so we can display our unity of purpose and show the world our strength. At a recent ceremony, disgruntled elements have turned their backs on our traditions to air their disagreements with the ruling council. Far from ideal. Oh, we just jumped up. Barely embraced the printing press. Who owns the Antilles? Brittany. Breton? Puerto Rico? Yeah, practically Croatia's not going to go to the New World. It's already taken up. Nor have I any desire to, fight against Egypt and go to the Red Sea route and go to India. No desire for that. Profiteering of Kiel. Citizens of Kiel have grown tired of the local influence of the greedy Corfuan merchants that they claim are using unfair advantage to outcompete the local businesses. They demand we step in to limit the influence of foreign traders on the area and reaffirm the privileges of our own merchants and artisans. If we do not act, they might take matters in their own hands. We must protect our trade even though that's our vassal. Which one day these two will be integrated. Mamluks is now a great power. Welcome to the club. Scottish Columbia, Breton Venezuela, hey look, there's still some free real estate. Norway? You too? And are even allied with one of the natives there. I thought Norway was annexed, but apparently not. They've been exiled. So this is new Norway, so to speak. And it's allied with this tribe there. What an amazing game. So there you go, this is New Norway. Led by the king, who is of Norwegian origin and Protestant. Yeah, they're never coming back home. But they do have a conquest, so... It's not Norwegian Brazil, it is New Norway. And it's on the mouth of the Amazon. Which is smart, I would add, because... local protectionism. I thought they would have something like that, but... No, it has not been owned yet. Only a matter of time, though. Here we go, more to the world. Nobody's the owner of Greenland. Just only Eskimos. Yeah, that free real estate I mentioned, well, one of these two is going to take it. Scotland or Norway. Stealing Brazil is a breed colony. Really? Okay, let me have one more look. Genoa, Tuscany. You've all embraced it. Maybe I should save up my money by embracing that institution just to keep up. But not quite there yet. But it is already present in Zarigrad, obviously. Not in Dubrovnik yet. Not in Zagreb yet. That's going to take a little longer. Might as well spend the power on this one. Because you need that trade efficiency and the trade range. Since you've taken interest in Crimea, which Russia has occupied it now. It's curtains for you. By the way, who else did the Karamanlis bring? No, they're on their own. If you lose, what good are you to me? Could fabricate one more. One more Crimean province? I mean, check the whole area, in fact. So it does include Kala. No, it does not say. Okay, we'll put it up there too, even though that's from a different state. Which may cause tensions with Commonwealth, because they do not. Oh, Russia has a permanent claim on... Oh, that's... Yipe. What have we got ourselves into? I mean, you're not even there yet. You haven't even set foot there yet. What the hell are you worried about? Just wait for the Russian conflict to end and see how much land they're going to get out of this. Because clearly they want to go down to Crimea. But I'm only interested in these areas. You've been quiet recently, but knowledge sharing, you got it. That means we have to pay up some of that income to them. We won't make as much, but it'll do for the time being. Trivesta. Fort level 4. Oh, they've upgraded that recently. Got it. We'll consider. Just do it simply for the sake of it. So I don't have to get scared. Oh my goodness. Are the Brens are in Canada? Newfoundland, I should say. In a year, we may fight against Venice. Because I really want to beat somebody up. Croatia particularists in Bulgaria is causing tensions. We may even consider expanding the military a little bit on some of these two armies here. You two stay. We got uprisings to take care of. It's happening. This is, I mean, I know it's a very peaceful episode we've been experiencing, and we're trying to get rich and everything, but think of the institutions that we may embrace sooner or later. No, it's not giving us much of tech penalty. We're alright. And consider the war against, Venice. If you want that stability up, that's what that's for. And I still wait for the Russians on what their final result's going to be. Russian Imperial Army. My goodness. Successful bureaucracy. On an annual basis, bureaucracy gives the country a nice little tax boost. But sometimes the right men in the right place can give the country a little bit extra. It is a shame that a few years down the line you have to promote them beyond their ability. Make hay while the sun shines. For 10 years. Alright. That's good. Good to know. Corfuan separatists. The Islanders separatists, basically. Oh my lord. That's a lot. Oh boy, here we go. Get up there. We'll deal with the Byzantine separatists later, but before that... Who's there? Oh, it's French Canada. Yes, the colony of French Canada. And we know who runs the Caribbean. It's the Spanish, the English West Indies, Spanish West Indies, Breton, Antilles, Scottish, the two Venezuelas, Scottish, just like French New Guinea. We don't even know who's all the way down there. And not a single European power looks like they own a part of India, if they want to form a trade company and whatnot. What are you doing? Saxon Succession War. Well, you haven't called us. But are you allied with Brabant? No? Then what the hell are you involved in? Oh, Brandenburg. You're helping out Brandenburg, your ally, of course. Well, we got trouble. Skopje. Surround them. Nafried. We'll deal with Byzantine separatists soon. Tell your position. Let's go. We gotta stick together when we deal with such matters. And you know, with that large amount of money that I have now, I kind of feel that I kind of want to expand the Croatian military a little more. Since, you know, it's 25,000 strong, so we kind of want to make both 20,000 strong. I mean, as far as we're concerned, we have the land force limit to do so. Get down there. Breton Bahamas. And who's the owner of Florida? It's amazing to see these lands, even though these are the lands that Croatia will never go to. Because of our geographical position. Mobile Bay as well. And it looks like Spanish America. Development of maritime law. So again, this is for trade efficiency and trade range. which would help a little more in the income, so to speak. Even though it may not look like much, but give it time. So it appears that Constantinople is the highest node, trade node. But I'd like to improve a little more of Ragusa when we turn Dubrovnik here into a world port. Well, what do you know? The Ottomans are still hanging on. But their manpower is massive. Who are you to underestimate the Russians? They got quantity. They got offensive ideas. That's part of the Russian tradition, mind you. And the artillery yard that they have. Land force sum it up. Who are they? Who are we to question? Russian tenacity. Corner. Right next to it. You can put it down easy. At least that autonomy will die down slowly but surely. Treaty with Venice has expired. We can fight them if we wish, but I don't know. I kind of want to improve the military a little by, or should I say, increase the size of it. Like this one has no artillery. We got to introduce to those. But I would like to, let me see. No, I know it says for every 5 years, but I'd like to get it off of the ducats from some other country. You know, me being a cheapskate and all that. Notoriously. Poor vintage. One of our more prestigious vineyards has shockingly produced wine of vastly inferior quality. Needs to say, people think less of our country for it. Hope I never drink any. Of course, lower prestige also hurts the global trade power, thus therefore steam come down a little. What's that Cornulo doing? You never called for us. Oh, you're helping out fires. Or whatnot. Unless, guaranteeing the independence. Education for the poor. A religious local philanthropist has begun to create schools for poor children in Plovdiv. Alright, the ambition to bring literacy to the poor and educate them in the way of Catholic faith. Of course, there are those who would argue that it's not an activity without risks. An excellent initiative. More influence for the clergy. Plovdiv won't like that, but deal with it. Again, have not found out what that word means. As mentioned before. As soon as I get the trade favors for ducats off of our most trusted allies, then We will. Then we will get money from them. Even though I do have a tendency to forget when, so it'll probably be 1605 or so. It ain't over until they sing. Because Akonulu has, excuse me, the Karaman have taken their capital. So it's possible that we might be bordered with them. While Russians will continue to make their very aggressive advance, but soon the Ottomans are going to call it quits. Yeah, well, I was able to get much out of them. Oh dear, you've annexed Moldavia. Well, now we're bordered with them, and let's not have too much border friction. It's been a while since we've improved relations with you. Yeah, been a long while. Just to make sure there's no tensions between us. Because I would hate it for you to be, oh, I don't know. Like say, should you ever break up with us, I'd be friends with Russia. Honestly. I mean, Russians, they view us rather friendly, interestingly. We'd be willing to ally if we could just drop one of the allies, and then we can talk. And obviously, since I have claims on the Crimea, well, that attitude may change. Move across. Last time you're taking any of those casualties. So I'm thinking Venice first, or should we wait for the Ottomans to go get Crimea? Get them while they're very weak. Because sooner or later they will almost have no cards to play. But in the meantime, we could go back to drilling, so to your positions. We'll introduce cannons to them, since the one thing we lack the most in the Croatian military is artillery. Spanish West Indies. English Colombia, occupied by France. Nope, the Karamanese are making a comeback again. Yeah, you got it. Punish them. Likely we'll save it up for this next military tech. Instead of just try to develop it further, which in fact, since we haven't been doing it lately, just take these off. Helps with the income that way. Oh, it's over. The Ottomans cede Kuban, Tin, Azaraba, and Azov to Russia, as this was a holy war. So now they have access to the Black Sea, which means the Ottomans can now shift their focus in fighting against the Karamanese. So it seems I still have a chance to establish our presence in Crimea. Which, of course, doesn't sit well with the Russians who want all of it, since they have permanent claims to it, and it's never going to go away. So they removed that as rival. Anyway, start drilling again. It's been a while. Oh, we'll be able to do it again. That's the part I misread. I misread that part. So 1606, on the March of 1606, we'll ask for ducats again. And then, oh, you know what? I'll tell you what. There's this mission here. Build a treasury. Yeah. Why the heck not? Let's just save it up to 2,000 ducats. Don't spend anything at all. Don't build up your military yet. That's why I did not want to go to war with Venice. And just stall for time. Have even more yearly inflation reduction. Do that even more. And we'll be asking for more money, and then we are rich. Hang on. Trade wars. We've always encouraged healthy competition between our merchants, but at the same time always put the greater interest of the Republic first. We should work together to ensure that the Republic's trade will strengthen against the interests of rivals. Now this tradition is waning, and the merchant class is becoming increasingly fratricidal. There we go. This is hurting our country. Something has to be done. Ugh. Damn pirates. I can see you've been doing that. Is that part of your tradition? May raid coasts. Ah, because they're Berbers. One of these days, I'm gonna come over there and beat you up. Which we will, when we fight the Ottomans in the future. Crush the mid black eye. Increased his fire skill. Vladislav Vonich no longer serves us. Well, since we still got plenty of military power. Ivan Horvat. 4 fire, 2 shock, 2 maneuver, no siege. Makes sense. Get back to drilling. Now. Till we save up to 2,000 ducats. Then we'll start building up, beef up the size of the Croatian military. And then we'll expand towards Crimea. And, if possible, Anatolian coast. Just get as much territory as we dare, subsequently. And, whatever course that the Karamanese should lose, they should take. They should be given all back. But nothing else. They still have the manpower. You still do. They can hold out. They found gold. Really. Our explorers, says Portugal, have traveled deep into uncharted territories to search for gold in foreign lands. We've finally done it. The gold mines have been discovered. The discovery is sure to put an end to the bullion famine that plagues Europe. Speaking of striking gold. Oh yeah. Trivest. It's another. Hey. 254. 282. How about you, Mamluks? They don't have that kind of money. Okay, no, that's fine. So we're about to give what we want. At Kanulu, obviously don't make as much, and they're at war. Commonwealth, how about you? Oh, you don't have that kind of money either. How many friends do you have? Always say they don't make very much income. What's the matter with you? So we are gonna have to settle it with Genoa. About to complete the mission. One more damn ducat. Alright, there we go. So, a large treasury is an imperative buffer for all things that could befall us through. If this is seen as miserly, it is because some do not realize that this vice is the very essence of what it means to reign. So we will have a strong treasury department for 25 years, getting rid of more of that inflation. So we made 2,000. Now all you need is build manufacturers, which there's only 2 so far. Great advances are being made in the field of production, both technological and organizational. Let us invest greatly in the new manufactories. A great industrious revolution might soon be upon us. We only have 2. And we'll soon have 3 because they asked us to build one in Dubrovnik. But you know, building manufactories are expensive. And you will get proto-industrialization, which will give you that many ducats. An imperial conquest thing, that's just to get the development up to 1,000 for all areas that you own and will soon own if government capacity allows. But I fear that I would have to give, you know, a little more land rights to some. But you know what? I think it's for the best. I think we should go for parliamentarianism. We won't have the diet anymore, but I may give them some more governing capacity to, you know, the nobility, oh, excuse me, the clergy and the burghers, especially the burghers. Oh. They're the ones that give you a healthy amount. That's a very good idea. So now it's really dropping down. May not look like it much, but give it time. Okay, now. Naval equipment manufacturer is what they wanted it. In Dubrovnik, correct? Manufacturing. Any manufacturer. Any. Statewide governing cost reduction. State houses. That's what this is also for. If you care about governing capacity. Yeah, build one here and it's going to be a good investment. In time. See you in 5 years. And I'd like to turn this into a world port, which is something that I promised. Which, by the way, the institution, is it present? None right now, but it's about to be present in Zagreb, but we can further escalate this here. I did say that I wanted it to make Dubrovnik a world port, because this is our home trade node. That's even more. Sailors up, local development costs reduced. Another building. Yearly naval tradition decay and all that. If I was to build another building, I would like to build a shipyard there, since I had a habit of stationing a fleet there. So it's going to help with the trade power, and more trade power little means more, you know, income from trade as well. Well, we're about to introduce artillery here. And this army, have it at least 5. And we need to beef up the size of it as well. So that'll be 16. So I think that's a little more than I bargained for, honestly. But it'll do. Don't worry about it. You did say you want to beef up the economy and the military, and that's what you are doing. Just to get ready to fight in a war against the Ottomans in 3 years' time, which we will have the manpower for it by then. Lately, we've been looking for painters or artists to try to adequately capture the glory of art. As happens, a painter has offered services just this morning. Stability? Stability means faster institutions spread. Trade power, tax modifier. Yeah, do hire him. We spent a whole fortune. But it's worth it. You'll be making all that money again before you start another war. And when that time comes to embrace the institution and get us another merchant, we'll send it to merchant to Crimea. Because that's going to be the war target in the future. When the time comes, of course. They tell us the growing popularity of tobacco. Originally marketed as a medicinal plant, tobacco has come to be increasingly popular in both the Christian and Muslim world for its recreational purposes. From Paris to Bengal, the habit has grown to such an extent that the tobacco business is becoming quite lucrative. Good for you, Spain. So how much is that in trade for Ragusa? A little bit up, but if you can upgrade Zagreb, if you, add the view area, more from Spain. Hot chocolate. The use of cocoa to create a hot beverage is a custom inherited from American natives. While the new drink has caught on quickly in some parts of European society, it has taken some time and large amounts of sugar before it reached a higher acceptance. With that out of the way, however, the demand for chocolate is now steadily increasing across the old world. There are claims that the local fishermen have improved their ship designs. If we do a careful study of their ships and try to build a copy, our best admirals believe that our naval technology will benefit a lot for the future. We'll spare no expense. Because, you know, we're still quite far away to get to the next one, but saving up for this one. And we're about to get this in a month. Coast of Cameroon. Yeah, you'll get up to 20,000 strong, as you've promised. I'll look at the final tally of the income. Yeah, not as much as we used to, but we only had to beef up the military so that way we can stand toe-to-toe with some of the great powers. 65,000 strong. Not quite the largest army in the world, but it's 7th largest army with the 2nd largest navy now. That's due to England and France beating each other up and losing their ships, I assume. 5th highest income, 13th highest trade income. So yeah. And in a few years' time, we'll be expanding again. Just keep drilling. You got new regiments to drill. They won't be as drilled as some of the others, but we'll be alright. For the most part. go, Karaman, let's go. Oh, we're no longer ruling for life. It's election time, folks. But I don't think it'll be wise to keep him because he'll be losing 10 Republican tradition. So, he could stay in office, but then he must defeat 3 primary competitors. But, and before I do, establish a national bank for yearly inflation reduction. So, inflation around here will be a thing of the past. As far as the port maintenance is concerned and all that. And next time, debt and loans, reduced interest rate. And this is a big one that I'm trying to get. And especially that. And when you get economic ideas, we can develop our country even more. That's part of the reason why I said I don't want to expand too much in this new age. We just want to be Europe's largest democracy. And likely be a parliamentary republic. Just to develop everywhere. So that way we are capable of defending this country against countries like Russia, Ottomans, 2 Sicilies, HRE, anybody. Because that defensive ideas also helps along with it. And the development would also increase the income of just about anything. And subsequently, when we get to national sovereignty, I am highly likely choosing quality. Quantity is not a problem for me, because the manpower is sustainable, and we only rely on allies very, very much, because we said many times that Croatia's strongest weapon is diplomacy. So I would go with quality ideas when that time comes, because it helps with the combat ability up, especially the cavalry. With the Croatian cavalry combat ability and the finest of horses under quality ideas, we would be on par with the Mughals on the cavalry combat ability. And it helps with the Navy as well, since we've been heavily invested in the Navy. And the artillery combat that has to go up. And plus, when you fully unlock it, discipline up. And with economic ideas combined, you will have even more discipline. That's the reason why I picked that, and that's why I'm going to go for equality the next time when that time comes. And the other 3 is just, well, could be anything at this point. Anyways, the election. But keep in mind, every time you elect a new ruler, you're all going to have a minus... Well, what do you mean minus? A reduction to just 1 skill. Like Sviatoslav is 2 to 5, but this is, 1, 1, 4, and so on and so forth. So. What is your main priority? Or you're about to get a new military idea. And I would like to get more, okay, what? Bureaucrat government. Luka Subic. We have to elect. As much as I would like to re-elect, but the Republican tradition is too low. So we can't be doing that. So that means every... Still says when ruler dies. Must be a patch thing. We formed our republic on December 1st, 1599. And, so, doing a math here. So it's every 6 years? Every 6 years is like 6-year terms. Fair enough. Damn it. This is why we gotta switch Juz often. Juzd. I'll figure out the pronunciation after this episode. And now, flintlock musket. The matchlock firing mechanism's biggest weakness was the need to keep the match lit in order to fire the weapon. Though wheel lock was developed, it was too expensive to produce to enter the mass use. The development of flintlock created a more reliable weapon. So we'll be getting less military power, but I'm more interested in getting more administrative. So that way, we'll try to get as much of this power as possible in order to advance to this, to get more governing capacity. Bring them back. Administrative efficiency, development efficiency, and to have universities. Which we gotta start building those one day. And also, I did mention that I do have intentions of going for parliamentarianism. Sure, it would get rid of the nobility, which the nobility gives us manpower recovery speed, but not the manpower reserves, you know, in max. You'll be fine. Just all I care about is that later on, we gotta develop this country a lot more to be on par with everybody else. And yeah, sure, we make very little money, but we'll be fine. We'll get our money through winning wars and such. Ottomans for Crimea and possibly Anatolian coast. Venice for the area itself. Which of course may cause a coalition to form because you are taking very developed land. That's the reason why we spent this better part of the decade in peace. Because we just want to make a great fortune and invest in something that will benefit this Balkan nation as a whole. But I fear once that truce expires, the Karamanese are probably going to call us for help. They're still out there. I don't know where they keep getting their manpower from. They clearly do. Unless they've been a lot into mysticism. I mean, it's still the Croatian golden era, keep that in mind. When is this ending? 4 months. All splendors and abilities will be cleared. Well, just simply for the sake of it. Every 6 years we get a ruler. Despite the fact that it says next election when ruler dies. Our ruler did not die. Our election day is December 1st every 6 years. So we will keep drilling. 2 years later, in the middle of June, we will be ready for war. Ready to fight in different fronts. Milan's embraced it. We'll be, honestly, I think we'll be a little bit behind. It's present in Dubrovnik, Zagreb, Rijeka, Donja Kraj. Not quite there yet. Not even there yet. It's in the works, unless I were to put an edict on faster institution spread. But we have high stability, so it'll do its job. You should worry about embracing institution later, because we're definitely gonna fight against the Ottomans in the next episode. As long as the Karamanlis don't tell us to get into their war. Because it seems like they've been dragging out for a long time. Really? Well then. Still allied with 2 Sicilies though. Tuscany would be the fighting another war, obviously. Trade League. And all that. Thank you for the knowledge sharing. Oh yeah, that's where all the money went. I forgot. Stupid. Didn't you read knowledge sharing? So now we're going to start making a little bit more money again. Yeah, we'll definitely have the funds too for the war effort. 12 a month. Good enough. Let me see. Just looking everywhere else. As far as economy is concerned, fort maintenance. Yeah, reduced inflation, definitely gonna help it. We will end this episode at the very beginning of 1609, the year that we will return to war. The war against the Ottomans, I should say. Use your words. Cities demand old rights. As we look to centralize the state, we inevitably infringe on the autonomy of the urban dwellers, who have always existed under a different code of rules rather than the rural brethren. The cities actively resist pressure to be brought under more uniform rules and regulations, and to demand that their old rights be respected. Hey, if you get the burghers very loyal, it's beneficial, but unfortunately that's going to hurt a little bit of that government reform progress. So I'll take that, but we'll worry about parliamentarianism later, knowing that what we're about to get into in the next year. Just want one more province out of you, and we got you. For the next war, when I face you, once I'm done with them. What's your objective all along? Adana. But clearly, you've lost that. Hell. Oh. Just one more out of you, and we're done with you. Counter-espionage. Unless you want to do other things. Steal maps, slander merchants, sabotage to recruit. No, it's too much work. Unless it's a rival of a country like the Ottomans, which I could have sent it there, but I made my intentions known. I just wanted the claims. Don't want to do anything else to them. Still duking out. Well, at least part of it. Cape of Good Hope. That looks like Portugal. Least surprised if it's Kiowa. About to close this episode. Glory of the Army. Our glorious army is enhancing the prestige of our nation. Glory to us. Slava! Just what I wanted to hear before we plan on going to war the next summer. Okay, hang on. What do we got here? Karaman will cede Kirche, Etchel, Sivas, and all this again. They got their cores back. I am disappointed in you. While they may rest, but we're about to come in and defeat them. You know, it feels like we're strong enough to take them on just by ourselves, but no. I want to severely punish them once again. But I probably won't bring the Commonwealth into this. In fact, nobody wants to get into it until truce is expired. Okay, fair enough. But not even they want to get involved. Well, we'll figure out what the situation is going to be for the summer offensive. It's not like it's going to be finished like that in a season. What are you, nuts? But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, it is a new Croatia, and soon a dawn of a new age. And then possibly during the next episode, if their time allows, I am most definitely going to go for parliamentarianism rather than a presidential system, even though it would reduce the institution replacement cost if we go for that. But for me, I'm not concerned about institution replacement. I just let it happen naturally, honestly, to let it spread on its own. It'll eventually come up, and we'll embrace it when the price is right. And I get me a merchant, and I'm gonna send that guy to Crimea, because that will be the war goal. Control of Crimea, at least most of it. Wherever is most appropriate. I mean, there's one natural harbor there. I mean, that's for one. But of course, the Anatolian coast may have intentions of getting that as well. I haven't developed much of that, so just go for the state. Looking at the buildings. Those previous owners did one. Hey, look, a farm estate, manufactory. Okay, well, one is currently building in Dubrovnik. Capture one in there. And if time and money allows, I would like to build manufactories all over the Balkans. There'll be a huge reward for this. And in the future we have intentions to go towards there. There is a farm estate there. Nothing there. There's got to be a manufacturing in there as well. No? Well, we know where the strength lies. So yes, we've made Dubrovnik and Zarigrad world ports. We made Belgrade a market town. But not Rijeka, but I'll be sure if I had a lot of money and I want to improve more centers of trade, Rijeka and Drac. Oh, and don't forget Solon as well. Maybe that'll increase the trade power of Ragusa, which seems like a nigh impossibility to try to dominate trade. At least for Ragusa alone. I think it would be better if you were to switch your home trade node to there, because you got 47. Well, it's still tied with the Ottomans, but that'll soon change in the next episode. But until then, so long for now.